Around 75,000 students in Scotland have had their exam results upgraded after an outcry over the way they were awarded. Scotland's Education Secretary, John Swinney, apologised for the debacle and the feeling of unfairness, saying it was deeply regrettable that the government had got it wrong. With no exams this year because of coronavirus, teachers were left to estimate pupils' grades. But more than 124,000 of those estimates were downgraded after the exam board took into account every school's past performance. It meant that pass rates for pupils in deprived areas were reduced by more than 15%, in comparison to just under 7% for those from affluent areas. It sparked a flood of appeals. But a week later, there's been a major U-turn, as our Scotland correspondent Lorna Gordon reports.
In the 7 days since she got her downgraded awards, 17-year-old Drew has written a letter to the minister in charge, met politicians, signed petitions, taken part in a demonstration to push for the grades to be reversed. Today, an apology and a result.
In speaking directly to the young people affected by the downgrading of awards, the 75,000 pupils whose teacher estimates were higher than their final award, I want to say this: I am sorry.
Drew stays in what is described as a deprived area. She believes she was marked down because of where she lives.
I was left feeling quite doubtful and quite discouraged, just because the area I live in was a great impact, and the exam results I got, I felt as if I was being treated as a second-class citizen and not as good as schools in affluent areas.
And now?
I'm a lot more relieved now, especially when it comes to moving on in my career. Hopefully I can get into university and things like that now with teacher estimates.
That's because of a U-turn, a rather large one from Scotland's Education Secretary, under pressure from disappointed pupils, parents and political opponents.
I can confirm to Parliament today that all downgraded awards will be withdrawn. Using powers available to me in the Education Scotland Act 1996, I am today directing the SQA to reissue those awards based solely on teacher or lecturer judgment.
But for opposition parties, this may not be enough.
We promised dialogue, openness and fairness for all. But what did we get instead? A methodology clouded in secret, a lack of transparency and engagement. Teachers were ignored.
Why was there no contrition, no apology, no U-turn until now? Why did he leave these young people twisting in the wind for a week, hopes and aspirations in shreds?
As well as withdrawing all downgraded results, those pupils who got higher grades through moderation will keep them. The Scottish Government also promised to make sure there were enough places in universities and colleges for all applicants. And the plans to handle a large number of appeals will be scaled back, although there are still likely to be some. But there are those who warn this isn't a perfect fix.
Mr Swinney today solved a political problem but created new educational problems in its place. By sweeping away the decisions of last week, which were the political problem, he has created new educational problems to do with the validity of the entire system of assessment.
Pupils in the Borders and Shetland headed back to school today. Others return from tomorrow. The man at the helm of Scotland's education system will himself be back in Parliament on Thursday, facing a vote of no confidence in his handling of this crisis. Lorna Gordon, BBC News, Glasgow.
Well, all eyes will now be on the rest of the UK as hundreds of thousands of students get their A-level and BTEC results on Thursday and GCSE results next week. There are now similar concerns about the system used to calculate their grades. The Prime Minister says the government will do its best to ensure the hard work of pupils is reflected. Our education editor, Bramwyn Jeffries, has been talking to a group of students about their hopes and fears.
My biggest worry is that all the hard work that I've put in over the last 2 years is going to be underestimated by the standardisation process.
That my hard work and achievement throughout the whole 2 years won't be acknowledged.
All the work I've done will be for nothing, especially for my art A-level.
Their future rests on their results, but with exams cancelled, grades will be awarded in a system never tried before.
How is my grade calculated?
Your teachers have estimated your grades in each subject, A-level or BTEC, and then ranked students in each subject from top to bottom. But your school's past results could lead to grades being moved up or down.
How can I appeal?
In England, Wales and Northern Ireland, you can't appeal if you think your grades are simply unfair. Your college can challenge, but only if it can show there are exceptional reasons why recent results shouldn't be taken into account. In England, you do get the chance to resit this autumn.
I would like to be able, as an individual, to appeal my own grade if I think that I was capable of doing something higher. But I would understand the concept behind it because there is no other way to calculate it.
What will happen to my uni place?
The good news is that universities could have more places because fewer international students will start studying in the UK this autumn. So they might be very flexible about grades. And in England, they've been asked to keep places open for any students caught up in an appeal.
The fact that I don't know that I'm going to get the grades that were put forward as a requirement does make me nervous, because there's two sides to that. The side that there are not going to be those international students perhaps until January, but then you've got the fact that I don't know if I'll get a place.
When exams were cancelled, teachers got a key role. I wanted to hear what research tells us about their estimates. One study found less than 20% of A-level predictions were right.
We found that only 16% of students received accurate predictions based on their best 3 A-levels. We also found that 75% of students received predictions that were too optimistic compared to what they went on to actually perform.
After years of study, some will be disappointed. But ministers insist this is the fairest system overall. Bronwyn Jeffries, BBC News.
Our political correspondent Chris Mason is at Westminster, so it's going to be quite a moment this Thursday, next Thursday, for both the students and also for the people who are coming up with these grades.
Yeah, evening to you, Sophie. There's one big question, isn't there? Given that the system in Scotland didn't really survive contact with reality, what is the chances of something similar happening in England, Wales and Northern Ireland? I think what we can guarantee is that politicians in Cardiff and in Belfast and here at Westminster are going to face sharp questions come Thursday. As far as the government here is concerned with responsibility for England's schools, they seem to be aware of trying to dampen down a row before that row here has properly got going. So they say that their system is fundamentally fairer than the one in Scotland. They also say that it is a possibility, as we heard there from Bronwyn, that students could sit an exam in the autumn. But of course, that would mean potentially writing off a year in order to do so. And I expect as soon as tomorrow morning, further reassuring noises from England's schools minister. Add to that, the Universities Minister for England has written to university vice-chancellors saying, please, please give students a chance to appeal if they decide to do that. Hold open their place until that is complete. And an explicit acknowledgement from that minister that outstanding students in poorer schools could find themselves feeling that they are cheated by these results. Bluntly, this is far from ideal for a whole generation of students. Plenty tonight, very nervous about what the next few days will bring.
Chris Mason, thank you.